All right. Well, welcome, and thank you for attending the State Nursing Board's stakeholder meeting via webinar today. The date is August 16th, 2024, and it is 2:04 p.m. Before we get started, I'd like to introduce the staff members from the Division of Professions and Occupations who are present. My name is Nate Brown. I'm the regulatory analyst for the division. Also attending with me are Roberta Hills, program director for the nursing program, and Maria Rasconarana, regulatory coordinator. The division has transitioned to a platform that is 100% virtual, and we appreciate your flexibility in this regard. As many of you have been to DORA stakeholder meetings before, we would like to reiterate the importance of your comments today. DORA takes decisions every day that may affect your life and your business, so your input is vital to the rulemaking process. Throughout this process, our goal is to create regulations that first clarify and explain legislation, ensure minimum competency to enter and continue practice, and third, to provide only what is absolutely necessary for consumer protection without creating unnecessary barriers to the marketplace. Your input today will be part of the information that goes to the board as it considers adopting revisions to the rules. More specifically, today we will receive feedback on proposed revisions to Rule 1.9, Rules and Regulations for the Licensed Practical Nurse in relation to IV authority, Rule 1.14, Rules and Regulations to register professional nurses qualified to engage in advanced practice registered nursing, Rule 1.15, Rules and Regulations for prescriptive authority for advanced practice registered nurses, Rule 1.18, Rules and Regulations for the certified nurse aide in relation to medication aid authority, Rule 1.28, Rules and Regulations for licensure of certified midwives, and Rule 1.29, Rules and Regulations for prescriptive authority for certified midwives. Additionally, the board is seeking feedback on several questions to stakeholders with respect to Rule 1.12, Rules and Regulations for approval of medication aid training programs. The questions presented for stakeholder feedback relate to the interaction between approved or prospective medication aid training programs and certain requirements with respect to Medicare and Medicaid. This meeting is being recorded and will be posted to the board's website by the close of business on Monday, August 19th, 2024. As this stakeholder meeting is held solely by webinar, please raise your hand by using the hand icon if you would like to speak, and we will unmute your line so you will be heard by everyone. Or you can type your comment into the question section and we will read it aloud. Before we start taking comments, I want to ask that anyone providing comments, please state your name and the organization that you represent, if any. Feel free to provide either general comments to the rule changes or specific comments to the proposed language. Please limit your comments to no more than 3 minutes. You will see that we have a timer up on the screen to help you keep track of your time. And try not to repeat something that was already said. Stating that you are in full agreement with someone else works just fine and will be noted as such. Some additional ground rules and housekeeping matters. If you are using the audio through your computer, please remember to put any phones on vibrate or turn them off. And whether you are using computer or phone audio, please try to keep the background noises to a minimum when speaking. All right, so with that, we can go ahead and get started. I actually see we have a question in the inbox from Tasha Mack. Is this a mandatory meeting? No, this is not a mandatory meeting. This stakeholder meetings like this are simply an opportunity for members of the public and anyone else interested to come and voice their opinion about the proposed revisions to these rules, answer any of the questions that we have presented, that the board has presented, but in no means is this a mandatory meeting for anybody. All right. With that, we'll start to look for folks who have maybe raised their hands, would like to speak. Or any additional written comments? Okay. All right, we have one hand raised. Deborah Lively. You should be unmuted. You can go ahead and unmute yourself and go ahead. We'll have 2 minutes.
Oh, Nick, I just wanted to make sure that we can talk about any of the rules today, or are we starting in a specific order? I'm sorry.
Oh, very good question. Thank you for asking. So as long as it pertains to one of the rules that has been noticed for this meeting, you can go ahead and talk about them in any order you want.
Okay, great. Thank you. Thank you very much. I'm Deborah Lively. I'm the Director of Public Policy and Public Affairs for Leading Age Colorado. We are a statewide trade association and we represent the full continuum of senior living and aging services providers. This includes nursing homes, assisted living residences, senior housing, adult day services, and the state's programs of all-inclusive care for the elderly. And today I'm offering testimony on behalf of our nursing home members to ask the Board of Nursing to remove from its rules the prohibition for facilities in the loss list from training or serving as clinical resource for medication aids. Specifically, we are asking the board to remove the language at Chapter 1.12, Section C6, and at Section I3. The loss list refers to a list of nursing homes that have been assessed civil monetary penalties above a certain level on their annual survey and have automatically lost their authority to train staff to be certified nurse aides for 2 years. According to the July report that I just pulled off of the Board of Nursing's website, about 40% of Colorado's nursing homes are currently on the loss list and not able to train their own nurse aides. Under this antiquated, almost 40-year-old federal law, the suspension is required even if the fines are unrelated to the quality of care given to residents, or if the care deficiencies cited on the survey are unrelated to the nursing home CNA training program. Loss of a nurse aid training program is not necessarily reflective of the quality of care provided to a nursing home's residents and are not just imposed on quote unquote bad actors. According to KFF in 2023, 89% of Colorado's nursing homes have been fined at some level. Currently, there are no federal or state laws that obligate the board to apply the same prohibition to medication aids training programs. Medication aids are already certified nurse aides that are being trained to administer medications. Therefore, we argue that nursing homes that are on the CNA loss list should still be able to have a medication aid training program and or serve as the clinical resource for medication aids. The federal law is about training individuals to become certified nurse aides, not training currently working certified nurse aides to become medication aides. We would like the board to revisit this prohibition, especially in consideration of the nurse staffing crisis that all healthcare providers are experiencing. Medication aids can be a valuable part of the caregiving team in nursing facilities. As I mentioned, this rule is impacting over 85 of our state's nursing homes, including several located in rural areas where recruitment of CNAs and nurses is more difficult. The use of medication aids to administer resident medications could afford licensed nursing professionals more time to provide critical resident care, while also heightening job satisfaction levels for nurses and offering a potential career path for CNAs. Again, we are requesting the board to remove this regulatory barrier and allow all of the state's nursing homes to leverage every possible opportunity to utilize qualified workers to help deliver quality care to our aging population. Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you so much for your comment. Let's see. And before we get to the next person, I just wanted to make a quick note that you'll probably see me taking my own notes off to the side, trying to capture sort of the spirit or the gist of someone's comment. But again, please let me know if what I'm writing is sort of inappropriate or doesn't capture what you said. But it's just more of a way for us to be able to go back and make sure that we capture everyone's comment and we'll flesh these out after the meeting. It's just a way for me to kind of park my thoughts, if you will. So next up, we have Shelley Griffith. Once you should be able to unmute and you'll have 2 minutes. Please go ahead.
Good afternoon. Thank you for providing us the opportunity. My name is Shelley Griffith. I am the CEO of Ebenezer Lutheran Care Center in Brush. We are a rural nursing home provider. I would just like to echo the comments that Ms. Lively just stated. Would really like Dora to reconsider the position on not allowing med aides to be trained in a community that has a qualified program or to offer clinicals in a community that is on the loss list. These students are already CNAs. They've had to work with their credentials for at least 2 years. An unfortunate practice that's happening here in the state of Colorado is to restrict these students from obtaining their training in areas where they live and reside. And yet, even though we cannot offer these clinicals for med aids, we can offer clinicals for LPNs and RN students. So it doesn't seem equitable. To my knowledge, there are not other states that are applying the loss list in the same fashion that we are here in the state of Colorado. As a rural provider, the ability to increase the number of med aids in our community is significant. As a nursing home provider, we're competing with the hospitals and other higher paying institutions. And it's really competitive for us to employ RNs and LPNs. Med aids work really well in our setting, and it also gives our CNAs a great career opportunity. So thank you.
Thank you so much for your comments. Okay. Let's see, next up, and I will apologize right off the bat for mispronouncing anybody's name. I'm sure I'll butcher somebody's name here before too long. But next up is Nancy Edgener. Please unmute when you're able, and you should be able to go ahead, and we'll have 2 minutes.
Hi there, I am Nancy Egner. I am the Director of Professional Development and Magnet at Lutheran Intermountain Health. And my question has to do with the LPN, the 1.9 IV practice. The hospitals are really being challenged with having a lot of our IV antibiotics ordered as IV push medication. So my ask is for G here, where it says reconstitute closed system IV antibiotics following pharmacy instructions, is to look at possibly changing the closed system to a blanket ordered IV antibiotics, because a lot of our LPNs have not been able to reconstitute for the IV push medication. So that would be my ask. I'd like to keep reconstitute, but remove the closed system and just put ordered IV antibiotics following pharmacy instruction. That would open them up to be able to do much more, as we have quite a few LPNs within our acute care hospitals.
Excellent. Thank you so much for that comment. Okay. Don't see any written comments yet, so let's keep going down the list of hands. Next up, we have Crystal Ginther. Again, I apologize if I mispronounced anybody's name, but you should be unmuted. Please go ahead. You'll have 3 minutes.
Hi, my name is Crystal Ginther. I'm the nursing home administrator at Ebenezer Lutheran Care Center. And I just wanted to reiterate the points that both Ms. Lively and Ms. Griffith brought up, how they impact us rurally and other providers, I would imagine, in the state of Colorado, rural or not. The inability to be able to offer clinicals and the course itself at our campus has really limited growth opportunities for internal team members and potential new team members. As everyone knows, it's a very difficult market to be able to hire and recruit and retain. And so this really limits our opportunities for them to grow within and help us to be able to teach the skills on site with the people that we care for each and every day, and teach the way that we feel is, appropriate to care for the elders that we have here. So reiterating all their comments, they both spoke very beautifully. So I do hope you all consider the things that we have mentioned today, and thank you for your time.
Excellent. Thank you so much, and I appreciate the brevity. Let's see, scrolling down, the next hand up is Cheryl King. Should be able to unmute. Please go ahead when you're ready, and you'll have 3 minutes. Maybe. Oh, looks like hand may have gone down. We'll go on to the next person, and if you want to circle back, please just put your hand back up again. Ashley Shu, you should be ready to go. Unmuted, and you'll have 3 minutes. Please go ahead.
Hi, thank you so much. My name is Ashley Shu. I'm the State Government Affairs Director for the American Association of Nurse Practitioners. As the largest professional association of NPs of all specialties, the American Association of Nurse Practitioners really wants to extend our appreciation to the board for your dedication in modernizing the regulations around APRN prescriptive authority. Want to participate in today's stakeholder conversation, particularly on Rule 1.15 that regards prescriptive authority requirements for advanced practice registered nurses. So first of all, AANP is supportive of 2 of the specific changes from the most recent proposed revisions. The first is the proposed change to 1.15 C19. That is going to align the regulatory definitions about APRN population focus with national terminology. So we agree with that proposed change. The second piece is the proposed changes to 1.15 G4. That would remove an outdated reference that's currently in Colorado regulations to something called the articulated plan, which has long been retired from state law. So we're glad to see that element aligned here in the proposed regulations. However, the association also recognizes that the proposed revisions to 1.15 G mentorship requirements, those may need further refinement through this process to provide much needed clarity and transparency to our NP members, to APRN licensees, and the state's health system. Specifically, the new language that's proposed for 1.15 subsection G, AANP is concerned that this language proposed here could potentially perpetuate this ongoing requirement for APRNs to document hours prescribing across their entire certified patient population, as well as this proposed new requirement to submit a detailed mentorship plan in C for approval before starting those hours. Secondly, in addition to the language that's added here, we have some concerns about language that's proposed to be stricken. And that would be the proposed removal of currently existing exemptions for APRNs with substantial prescribing experience coming from other states. We think this could further hinder the state's ability to attract really skilled, experienced NPs to Colorado. So we'd urge the board to reconsider those proposed changes to the mentorship requirements and seek some solutions that are going to better align with statute and provide that greater clarity and flexibility. You can find our attached comment letter, some specific suggested language, alternatives, and rationale. And we really look forward to continued dialogue with the board. So thank you for your time and consideration.
Excellent. Thank you so much for your comments. And written comments are always appreciated and welcome as well. That really helps us. If you have some suggested language or whatnot, that really helps us on our end for sure. So I appreciate that. Okay. Well, I don't see any. Oh, hand just went up. Amy Diamond, you are next up. Please, should be able to unmute. And please go ahead. You'll have 3 minutes.
Thank you. My name is Amy, and thank you for holding this meeting and for all your hard work. And I am representing myself in G1 or 1.5 as well as nurse practitioner issue there. And so I've got some concerns about unintended consequences. And the first is the impact on Coloradans and the marketplace. And so just that time that has been inserted, which is a process, of course, in getting the approval for the mentorship, I'm concerned that that is going to, again, that's going to end up, and obviously it's going to be some sort of a lag, and then as well, more administrative burden on everybody's end as far as the NP, the mentor, and the board. Second of all, I'm concerned about how it appears to impose a postgraduate syllabus that could restrict employment types. And this is especially regarding if not only if we are expected to be competent for prescribing within the role and the population focus. So let's take somebody who might want to work with children and adolescents. So that might deter them from going into that specialty, or an adult. I'm speaking in psych in particular. They want to go on substance use treatment. Then that might deter them. And I'm afraid that we could lose a lot of nurse practitioners, new nurse practitioners, and who would just not want to bother with it. Employers, I'm concerned, or organizations might balk at what could be an encroachment or a distraction from their purpose and the function of the new grad hired to do the work there, that the requirements of the board might supersede what is at hand with the employment. And again, this kind of goes back to seeming to extend nurses training beyond what is appropriate. And then costly again. Honorariums, they add up, and I don't see that. I don't think there's any reason to assume that we can expect mentors, especially with the increased expectations, to just do these things out of the goodness of their heart. As nurse practitioners, we had to pound the pavement to get our training anyway during school. And then it seems to place the Board of Nursing in an assessment role that's, again, unnecessary for the competency already established in the graduate program. And that may not have much to do with the actual work, because now the nurse practitioner's in the work field. And so that should be acknowledged. So lastly, I'm just wondering what's evoking the change. And I guess I'm asking for transparency, because it seems to go above and beyond what the statute compels, and definitely more than a cleanup. So I'm wondering, is there exigency on the side of public? And where did the criteria come from? And then is this a particular process working in other states, or is this a pilot program essentially? Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you so much for your comments. And I'll ask Roberta if she would like to address your comment here, or maybe in some other forum.
No, I think my only response is that we've been working on these for a couple years. And so what you see is an attempt to address the issues that we've heard. So that's all it is. There's no hidden agenda, that's for sure.
Excellent. Thank you, Roberta. Next hand up I see is Angela Allen. Should be unmuted here in just a moment. Once you're ready, please go ahead and you'll have 3 minutes.
Okay, thank you. My name is Angela Allen, and I am the Vice President of Clinical Services for Christian Living Communities. And I would like to go back and echo some of the comments regarding the nurse aid training, and specifically with the loss list, but specifically some of the comments made regarding the quality, that it does not necessarily take into account the quality of care at the nursing home. Currently, the state assigns nursing homes quality star ratings based on a quality system out of 5. And some of these 5-star communities, despite providing optimal care as per their rating, are not allowed to offer nurse aid training programs or host them, which I feel is a disservice to some of the nurse aid programs in colleges where we could be training them in quality care centers. And thank you for allowing us to come here and make our comments. I appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you so much for taking the time out of your day. I know it's not exactly easy to show up for one of these things. So really, really appreciate everybody showing up and having your voice heard. Let's see. Looks the next hand raised is Theola Joseph. You should be able to unmute here momentarily. Please go ahead. You'll have 3 minutes.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you now.
Okay. Yes, I've got a question regarding CNA medication programs or training. Um, I would like to know where me as a CNA can, get the training to give medication at one of the nursing homes. I noticed there's a comment that there's a need for that. Also, with the psych tech license, um, is well, with that license, we can administer medication, but I would need to know, is that only in the psych care units, or would that be allowed at the nursing homes in the psych care units also? So that's my question. A two-part. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you for your question. I'm not sure that this is necessarily the best way for you to get that information. I think you probably would be better served by reaching out to our customer care team, and we can drop our email in there so you can reach out and get that information in a just a better way. I think more efficient for you to do it that way. But certainly you can stay on, and we'll get you that information so you can reach out.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Absolutely. No, I admire your dedication to service. Thank you so much.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Let's see. Okay, looks like we had a couple of questions in the Q&A, but they were answered. Amy Diamond, I see your hand is still raised. I'm not sure if you had a new comment you'd like to have. No, okay, your hand just went down. Thank you. Okay, I don't see any additional hands raised at the moment, but we have only gone through about half an hour of our scheduled time today, so we certainly have plenty of time if you're gathering your thoughts or typing out a question. We'll certainly stick around for as long as we need to make sure everybody has their voice heard. Ashley Shu, I see your hand is back up. Please go ahead and unmute. You'll have another 3 minutes.
Hi there. Just a quick question on process. Would love to know more about the upcoming October meeting and the timeline for revising the 1.15 rules for APRNs. Thank you.
Certainly. Excellent question. And I don't know if Roberta, you'd like to jump in on this. But really, this stakeholder meeting here is preparation for that meeting in October. As it's scheduled now, that the meeting in October will be the permanent rulemaking hearing, after which the board will deliberate over all of your comments and will be in the position to at least adopt those rules as revised. Now, that's not to say that they can't make additional changes in the meantime. Certainly based on comments, that's not uncommon for that to happen in between the stakeholder meeting here and then the actual rulemaking hearing later on. And I know if things look like they need a lot more revision, there's certainly opportunity to have additional stakeholder meetings, although that's not typical. So, but I'll let Roberta add anything if she'd like, but that's the basic process.
Thank you, Nate. I think you covered it. The only thing I would add is at that October 23rd meeting, there is a period of time where people can provide testimony on their input to the rules as well before the board members then deliberate.
Certainly, yes, that's a good point. There is definitely another opportunity to have your voice heard at that hearing, and always free to send in written comments as well, which are considered on the same level as comments received in this forum as well. So I know the board takes all comments very, very seriously. Okay. Let's see, Nancy Egner, I believe is how your last name is pronounced. Excuse me if I
That
mispronounced
is, that is
that.
correct.
Okay, well,
Thank-
please go ahead. You'll have another 3 minutes.
Excellent. And I just wanted to add on to clarity of the October session. So it would behoove us to attend that session because then the board may ask for more input, just like what I was talking about with the LPN, just removing that closed system piece to where they can indeed reconstitute, because they can push the IV medicine. So it would behoove us to attend that meeting so that we can maybe clarify or explain more about what we're asking for. Is that a correct assumption?
Absolutely, ma'am. Yes, I always encourage any and all interested persons to show up and have your voice heard. There's always ample time for everybody to have their comments heard and considered by the board. So certainly, if you're interested in these issues, you're more than welcome and certainly encouraged to come and have your voice heard. And just sort of working off of that idea, I don't see any new hands raised. So I just wanted to take a second to sincerely thank all of you for making the time today. I know it's Friday afternoon and probably other things that you'd like to be doing with your time, but you all decided to come here and engage in the civic process. It's admirable, and we really, all of us here at TPO, appreciate each and every one of your voices for being here. It's a key part of our rulemaking process. We wouldn't be able to do what we do as well as we do it without your input. The expertise that the stakeholders have is invaluable. So I really, really appreciate you all taking the time to come and share that expertise and share your points of view. I see a couple of questions about how to send in written comments. I'll give you the proper email address here once we wrap up. So stay tuned. I don't see any hands raised. But again, we will stay on for at least another hour. We have until 3:30 scheduled, so plenty of time if you're gathering your thoughts or typing out any questions or comments you might have. Certainly have plenty of time remaining. Or there's also the possibility that I've stunned you all into silence with my eloquence, in which case we might not need to spend the whole hour, but obviously this is the public's time. This is your time. So let's see, maybe we've gotten an extra. So we got a question asking about how to register. Sounds like it may have logged on late due to a time difference. So we will send out whenever there's a hearing like this, we send out a notice ahead of time. So if your email is one of the emails that we have on our stakeholder list, you should get the notice for when the stakeholder meeting or the rulemaking hearing will happen, and then you can register through there. Let's see if there's any hands raised. Looks like we have a hand raised. Kirsten Cox, you are up next. Should be able to unmute here in a moment. When you're ready, please go ahead. You'll have 3 minutes.
Hi, I'd like to ask a quick question about how long you're going to leave the comment period open for stakeholders in terms of 1.15, especially the information about mentorship for prescriptive authority.
As far as I know, you can send them in up until the time of the hearing.
So that is in October, or?
Correct. Yes, ma'am.
Do you have the date for that meeting by chance?
I believe it's October 23rd, but Roberta, please correct me if I'm wrong.
That's the correct date. It's Wednesday, October 23rd.
Okay, thank you. I wanted to just ask in regards to your paragraph in, it's 1.15 section G, in that second paragraph where it explains or states this information about all documented experience of prescribing drugs, devices, other treatments onto where it's crossed out. What is the purpose of, is there any way to know why that is being placed in this as a requirement, or what your thoughts are on that?
I will defer to Roberta if she's able to answer that question.
You're wondering why we're putting this in and crossing the rest out?
No, my question is why you're specifying information about the documentation, including RNP5's role, population focus, that information there. I guess my concern is that this is such a specific information about what you guys want documented for the board to approve a prescriptive authority for someone. In my experience, I've been a full practice prescriptive authority nurse practitioner for many years, and I feel like we had an articulation plan that was very difficult, and I know we've gone away from the articulation plan, but this specific documentation of every drug and every treatment that's ordered while you're in a mentor situation to get full practice authority, or for full prescriptive authority, excuse me, it just seems very specific. And my feeling is that in clinic, when you're seeing patients one after the other, for you to be able to document every single treatment and every single medication that somebody has ordered, whether you're in that state of getting prescriptive authority or already have prescriptive authority, that's a lot to ask of anyone. And I'm just trying to figure out what the purpose is of that comment, or that particular couple lines in that section.
I think you've got a good point. The reason it's there is because of, I don't know what percentage, but there is a percentage of people whose application ends up coming to the board because there are these kinds of questions. So this is, in a sense, saying, hey, give us this information in advance, and maybe it won't, we'll have it and then we won't have to ask for it. So
it seems to me, as a nurse practitioner in that role at work, that would be an astronomical ask for somebody in that role. So I just want to put my comment out there. I will try to get something written up in terms of suggestions, but I know in my world working in clinic, there is no way I could write down every single prescription I wrote down on every single patient I prescribed a prescription for. So for me, as a full practice prescriber, I find that section to be very difficult to understand how you would put that together. That would be undue amount of work, and it would increase the time of your day, because you'd have to literally go back and look at every single patient you saw and document every single prescription you gave, whether you're being mentored or not. And I understand the purpose, but at the same time, it's you've already been trained, you've already done your hours, you've already completed your graduate program, you've been approved by a national board. So my feeling is this mentorship, and my way of using it when I was going to full practice for my prescriptive authority was to use that mentorship in a slightly different way than what you're describing here. And that's why I'm asking.
Appreciate your input. I know the board will take that very seriously. Thank you so much.
Thank you. I will submit some other comments as well. I appreciate your help.
Appreciate it. Well, I don't see any hands raised. Let's see, I think we got a couple of written comments. Gary Anderson has a quick question. Is the customer care team available to assist individuals with FNP certification like me who work in specialty care and need guidance to meet the requirements for full prescriptive authority? If so, will you please share how to reach them? I applied for full prescriptive authority and was denied by the board, and would very much appreciate their help. Roberta, would you like to address that?
I think if you got a letter from the board, that you should respond back to who sent that letter with your additional information or questions, and the board, because customer care will send that to the board. So we have a board email address that you can also use. It's Dora_DPO_nursing board at state.co.us.
Perfect. Thank you so much.
Mm-hmm.
We also got more of just a comment from Kimberly Maddock. She completely agrees with Kristen Cox. I'm afraid it will make mentors stop mentoring. It's already a lot of work that would make it impossible. We appreciate your input. Thank you so much. Okay, well, we don't have any more hands raised at the moment. Addressed all of the written comments so far, I believe. But we certainly have plenty of more time if you'd like to send in a question or raise your hand. Okay. Well, like I said, we do have quite a bit of time left, but I also won't belabor the point. If you've had all of your comments heard, we certainly don't need to sit here staring at each other on a little box on a screen. So we'll give it another 5 minutes or so, unless we start getting another wave of questions. But might log off early here if we've hit everybody. And I do see some folks starting to drop off, so perhaps that's a good indication, but we will stay on again for another 5 minutes or so, just to make sure there's no last minute comments or questions. You're furiously typing into the chat box. Certainly don't want to cut anybody off. Okay, don't see any Other hands raised. Give it another couple minutes here. Okay, well, it's 2:50 and I don't see any additional hands raised. I don't see any new questions coming in the Q&A. So I think we can go ahead and start to wrap this up. All right. Okay, well, thank you so much for participating in today's meeting. As part of this collaborative process, all comments and program recommendations will be provided to the board for review before the next board meeting coming up here on August 20th. Any proposed revisions by the board will be made available to stakeholders for additional comments prior to the board's rulemaking hearing, which is currently scheduled for October 23rd, 2024. All rulemaking information can be found on the board's website under the Public Notices tab, and written comments may be sent to Dora_DPO_rulemaking at state.co.us. Again, that's Dora, DORA_DPO_rulemaking at state.co.us. That concludes this stakeholder meeting, and thank you for your participation.